I am Chef Scott, and welcome to the Roasted Tomato and Bruschetta show. Bruschetta, meaning burnt edges when referring to toasts. Do you get it? So now here we go. I'm going to show you the best thing to do when tomatoes are off season. And the best bread to use is some kind of like an Italian artisan bread like ciabatta. But if you live somewhere where there isn't ciabatta, we of course always have the baguette. So here we go. This is, by the way, my single favorite food in the world. So don't it up. Let's take some garlic cloves. Let's mash them a little bit. Makes it much easier to chop. Let's chop it. Here we go. That smells so, you know what? This smells so good, you just kind of want to like put it behind your ear. Oh, that's so lovely. I can now smell it all day long. And now I'm going to add some extra virgin olive oil. Let me take a second and talk to you about olive oil, everybody. Not all olive oils are equal. I prefer a Tuscan olive oil where the olives are from Tuscany. It is bottled in Tuscany. It has this green, grassy taste that you can't get anywhere else. Some people like a fruitier version from Spain. Who knows? But find the olive oil you love. And you don't need expensive olive oils to cook with. You need nice olive oils to finish with. Anyway, so we have garlic that's mixed with this olive oil, and then you need your bread. I have already taken some of the bread and pre-sliced it. You want even widths, because if it's not even, some will cook fast, some won't cook as fast, and some will burn, some won't. So always try to keep things nice and even. Your olive oil, and generously brush, it's actually now a garlic oil, onto the bread. It's okay to get some garlic on top of there too. And then a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. This is so good for what we're going to do. I'm going to set it aside for the moment. Now, if you were to cut it using a bread knife, this is what I would do. And then you can actually cut it into 3 pieces per slice. There we go. Now, if it were for cheese and crackers, you would be better off using a baguette. This is one of my favorite baguettes. You want it to be a day old. Read my lips. You want it to be a day old. It is too hard to slice thin slices like this if it's fresh. Anyway, these can be baked too, but we're not using them today. I want you to see what we're going to do now, because this is the best part. Take Roma tomatoes. Remember, this is off season. Here in San Francisco, the tomatoes come from Mexico off season, which is fine. I have no problems with that, except this is still off season. So look, go ahead and cut out the core. If you cut out the core, then you're not wasting any of the tomato. And then go ahead and slice it. This is one of 2 things I'm going to show you. You slice the tomatoes, you put your tomatoes on a sheet pan, and you roast them for about 30 minutes. But before you roast them, you're going to brush some of that olive oil on them. And this is when you're kind of in a hurry and you want a quick roasted tomato. This is the way to do it. But there's still a better way that I'm going to show you. After that, I always put in a little bit of that salt and pepper. There, lovely. Okay, now let's get into the real meat of this. take that same tomato, you don't even have to remove the core, and just cut it in half like that. Just like that. Let's do a few more of these. Face up, cut side up. Each one of these is going to be put on one of our ciabatta slices after they come out of the oven. So here we have some basil, and most of the time basil is kind of wimpy basil, but we're going to use it anyway. Most of the time basil is something that you chiffonade. So take it, layer it, roll it up, and then chop it. So, out of the oven, let me explain what's happened here. We put the sliced tomatoes in the oven about 325 degrees for a half an hour. It depends on how thick your slices are, and it roasts them up very nicely. Roasting tomatoes intensifies the flavor. So an off-season tomato becomes much better. This half tomato was roasted at 275 degrees for 4 hours. That's right. And look at it. It's just so gorgeous. And we're going to use these in a moment for oven roasted tomato bruschetta. These are good in salads. These are good for lots of things. I don't like off-season tomatoes, and neither should you. So in one moment, we're going to see this whole thing put together. So I have balsamic vinegar here. Let's pour some of it into a saucepan. And then I'm going to go put this on the burner and over a low heat, and I'm going to let it evaporate. Just evaporate. And we're going to make some kind of a wonderful thick balsamic syrup, which no longer is as acidic as regular balsamic. I can't even stand over it. I'm going to pass out from the fumes. So that's it. So here is the ciabatta having come from the oven. If you have a barbecue grill, you can use it as well. And you know, you want the bread. You want the bread. This is so hot. I'm going to burn my fingers. So you want the bread so that it's crispy on the outside, but still a little bit of give. You don't want it hard like a rock. I love this. This is one of my very favorite things to do. But that's not all. Now we want to drizzle, well, let's use a little of this garlic oil. Let's drizzle a little of the oil on top. The balsamic, so it's nice like this. See that syrupy balsamic? Let's sprinkle a little bit of it on top. A little more, come on. Yes, and that just comes from reducing your balsamic vinegar and nothing else. And look, oh my God, you wouldn't even oh, that is so good. At this point, this entire fabulous, fabulous dish is vegan, which it's up to you, but you can add some shaved Parmesan or Pecorino Romano on top. How gorgeous is this? And you have oven roasted tomato bruschetta.